Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. Now I have got these bee cards that I made from the Be Happy kit that I got from Love from Lizi. I got all my kit materials in here. I brought in this die set because we're going to use it for this card, but I've got all of my kit pieces in here. Lots of fun. I've worked with it quite a bit. So I've got things cut down. We've got a bunch of ephemera that we can use and just lots of fun stuff. So what I'm going to do today is kind of recreate this card. I had a friend text me and she loved this card and she wanted me to make one. I may send her this one too because she really likes the honeybee paper that's on it, and I'm out of that. But I was not completely satisfied with this card for a couple of reasons. One is this really fine edge on here, and I used some thread instead of my fishing line, which I normally use, and it doesn't spin very well. So I'm going to recreate this, only I'm going to make a 5x7 card. We'll have a lot more landscape, and we'll be able to do some more fun stuff with it. It's going to look a little different because we're going to use a different pattern, but this is the one that prompted me to get my materials back out. So the bee just kind of spins in there. And anyway, so I've got that one. I made this one and this one out of a piece of paper that I just split in half, and I think they're super cute. I did some ink blending on that. I traced around the die to create a backer piece for that. We're going to do something different today. I did a little different technique for the card we're going to make today, but we've got that Be Happy. And then I made this fun shaker, and I used the I don't know, tool or toile or whatever you call it that had the daisies on it, and then I also added the embellishments inside of there and some shaker beads, and I used the tiger eye gems on it. And then for this one, I couldn't resist this wide ribbon that was included in the kit, and then the charms. So I've got the honey charm on there and the bees, and You're as Sweet as Can Be, super cute. I put it on a craft layer. And then for this one, there were a couple of wobblers in the kit. So I went ahead and put this flower with a bee on it on the coordinating paper and just made it wobble, sweet like honey, and added this small one. So I've already made, let's see, looks like we've got 2, 4, 6 cards, and I'm gonna make another one, and I thought we would step it up and make it a 5x7 card. So I'm gonna bring in some dies from my stash and use, and I'm actually even gonna do it differently. I'm gonna just bring in my glue, and we'll get this laid down on here, and then we'll run it through the die cutting machine and get our arch out of it. And then I won't have to match it up like I did the last time. Last time I made it, I die cut the 2 pieces individually. I got them very close, but they weren't perfect. And so I'd like to have them a little bit more perfect. So I'm gonna try to get this laid down on here, and then we'll bring in our arch die and we'll cut the hole for it. And so I need to bring in now I've already went and die cut a couple of these bees out. And then I took the die, let me bring the die in. I took the die, look at this comes with the kit, isn't that cute? And I just used the embossing technique to get the body of it embossed. And then I just kind of fussy cut around it so that I'll have black for the inside. So that is a change. Let me bring this card in. For this one, I just left it just open, and you can see the line through there. And so for this one, I'm going to add black to it, and you won't be able to see the line. And I went ahead, and when I did it, I cut the antlers off and the legs off so that I can just put it on there, and I think it'll be fine. So for that, you're going to use plate E and plate D to do that. But right now, we'll just lay this aside. What I was going to do, I was bringing this in to make sure that I've got a wide enough. Now, I have bigger ones, and we're making a 5x7 card, so I can certainly use a bigger one. And this is the biggest one here, and I don't think I want it because it's going to get rid of all my paper. So I think this one should work just fine. If we get everything lined up right and close, we should have room to wiggle. So let's use that one. It is going to take a lot of our pattern paper out, but we'll have it around the top and the bottom. That's the problem. This is a 6x6 piece of pattern paper, and I'm making a 5x7 card. I don't think this one's big enough to let it spin, so that's why I'm stepping up to the next one. And we're not going to have as much of that beautiful pattern paper left, but we will have some. So I'm just going to get this laid down, try to get it positioned nicely. see here. And I'm going to bring in some washi tape and just tape it down because I know that I don't want it to move. Now, because my washi tape is so sticky, I just stuck it on my shirt and I'm sticking it kind of on my hands because I want it to release. I don't want it to tear my paper and I don't want it to tear my cardstock. So I want it to be able to release. Trying to get it straight. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So we'll go with it like that and like that. There we go. Now, what we're going to have to do, because we couldn't do that, is I'm going to have to try and line it up again. So we will do that. What we could do, let's see, now we have to use the same size because we need all of that room for our card base. So I think what I'll do is, this is pretty solid. Let's bring in a piece of white cardstock and we'll work with it. Now we're gonna just score again and create a card base. This stuff is, I think this carton of hammer mill that I got, I don't think it was the weight that I normally get. I searched for the weight I normally get and I think I selected, but I don't think they sent exactly right, or it was packaged wrong or something, because it just isn't as heavy as what I've had in the past. So now we've got that, and I was going to try and die cut it through, but then I realized it wasn't going to work out. So what we're going to do is we'll get this edge here, which is just over 1/2 of an inch. It looks like it's just under 3/8 as well. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to bring this in, and what we're going to do is, what did I think, 1/2 an inch? I think we're going to put this on the 1/2 inch line. We're going to cut this away, and we're going to adhere our card base to that so that we won't have to, if I had an electronic die cutting machine that had a bigger area, or even the bigger Spellbinders Platinum, I could do that, but I don't have it. I've only got the Platinum, and I've only got I don't know, I think that's a 6-inch space, and there's just not room for this. So to remedy that, I'm going to just do it like that, and it'll just open like that. We'll have a little edge on here. So let's go ahead and bring in our double-sided tape, and we'll use it so that we can get a good adherence, and we'll just get it laid down on here. Now I'm realizing that I needed another die cutting machine. Up to this point, I thought, nah, I don't need one. I've got 2. I have the small one, and I've got the Platinum 6, and now, but the thing of it is, I really don't use 5x7 cards very often. I needed more space, and so that's why I did it. I'm not liking how that looks on the inside there either. I need to trim that up a little bit more. Where are those little scissors? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run a bead of glue along here as well, just to make sure we get it stuck down real nice and neat. Okay, so we've got that. We're going to just line it up on there. I've never done a card like this before, so I'm just winging it. Let me know if you've had to come up with some creative ideas because of your machine as well. So now we have that. And I'm already thinking about a mistake that I made, but I think we can remedy it. What I need to do is bring in that other half that I cut off of this. We're going to do the same thing to it. Get it laid in here, and we're going to die cut it out. So there are ways to get around this. So I need that same die that I used, which is this one. Okay, now we've got this ready to go, but before we adhere it, and we'll have to line it, we may have to trim it a little bit or whatever. Might have to trim a little bit of that edge off on the one side because it's hanging out. So we'll take that off. Just take a smidge off of that. There we go. That'll give us some wiggle room to work. Okay. And then we're going to get our bee assembled and get it hung in there because we need to have the string between here and there. Now, where did I put my string? There we go. And so we've got this fishing wire here that we're going to use for it. And we're going to put it in between our, we need enough to go across the top. I brought enough in for a couple. I had this in my craft room. I bought it for my craft room, and then I thought I've never used it, so I stuck it out in the shed thinking my husband could use it for fishing. And then today I had to go back out and get it. He has his own fishing line, but anyway. So I'm going to pop out any little bits that are left inside of there. There we go. And we're going to get this laid down on there. So we'll just put some glue in some different places and just get some adherence so that we can get it connected. Okay. So I think this is going to be the front of the bee, so I think I'll put the fishing line on the back of the bee, and you're going to probably see it a little bit, but I don't think it'll be too bad. And we're just going to get that laid down on there. And that black really looks nice. So I've got my piece of fishing line on here. If I can get a hold of it. Maybe. And that's long enough. And so I want it to be pretty tight on there. And I don't think you'll see this. So I'll get this laid down on there. I need to go down a little bit further. And we'll get this laid down on here. Let me just remove that. And then I'll get this laid down on there. I'm just going to try and just, you know, kind of eyeball it and get it center. And then we can adjust it because I've got a little extra room here. Get that laid down on there. Okay, to remedy that little error that I created, I went ahead and did the same thing. I've got another one, and I'm just going to get it laid down on here, and then we'll just layer up on top of it. And I think this will take care of our problem, and we're going to have a really good, solid piece for our moving piece. So that'll really be nice. And I'm just getting it laid down on there. I didn't get all of it die cut out, but it'll be okay. Just get it lined up as nice and neatly as we can. It's wanting to move because we're on that metallic, but and then I had to use a different piece of metallic gold cardstock because I was out of what I had in the kit because I've used so much of it. But I think this is close enough, and I don't think they're gonna, because they won't be able to see both sides at the same time. They won't notice that it could be just a little slightly different. I don't know. So we'll see. All right. So we'll get this one laid down on there and get it lined up. And now we've got a good solid bee. Let's see if we can get these lined up. Okay, there we go. Now we've got it. Okay, now we can start working on this card. Good heavens, that took long enough. Okay, so I've got this. We've got another arched panel that we can use for something. We'll gently pull that off of there. Oops. Very gently. There we go. So we've got two other panels that we can use for something here. And I got this. So my goal right now is to get this bee laid tautly in here. I'm going to rub off any glue that's on there. Just clean that shine up. And you can easily rub it off with your fingers. And we'll do the same. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to use the shiny side for this, and we're going to get it laid down in here. So we'll get our card positioned there and try to get this somewhat in the center. And we're going to use that double-sided tape again and get, you know, some stick down on there, and then we'll add plenty of glue. But my goal is to get our bee string center as much as we can. And then we'll try to center it down here as well. So we'll give that a good press. Give this a good press. Pull this off. Pull this off. Okay, now I feel like that is centered. So I'm gonna stick that baby down. And we're gonna pull it tight. I wanna get it nice and taut. Okay, there we go. Now I think for the benefit of security, I'm gonna go ahead and lay another piece of this tape across it, and then we'll add our panel and we'll glue it down. And we should be fine by then, so. There we go. That thing should not go anywhere. Now we're right there, but here we're a little long, so we'll go ahead and snip this off. Make sure that's not hanging over. I don't think it is. And now we're ready to put this panel down on the inside of there and try and line it up. And I did shave just a little bit off of it. Actually, I think I did it from this side, so we're gonna have to turn it around and just kind of line that up as best we can. I think it's gonna be all right. It's not perfect, but it is better than horrible. Okay, so looks like, can we move it at all? We can. Let's move it a little bit. It's a little better. Yeah, so we don't have the, we just have the edge here that we'll have to trim off. So, can we do it? Let us see. Where's my good trimmer? Might be too long for that. Yeah, it is. We'll use our Tim Holtz scissors. And we'll just trim that off. There we go. Now we can spin, we can twirl this all around, and then when we open it up, it twirls very well, much better than the last card that I made. So I'm happy with that. Now, I've got some areas I need to add some glue to because didn't get it glued down very well. So we're gonna do that and just give it a little press, and we've got that. Now, we want to adorn the inside of this paper a little bit. And so I think what I'll do is we could just bring this right back in and lay it down in there. And then we have that, and that'd be really pretty. Or we could use this and lay it down in there, and that would be really pretty as well. So I think I'm liking this, and I think that would look really nice to just fit that back in there, and then when you open it up, you'll have that. So that looks like a pretty good fit right there. Wonder if I can get that laid down. All right, what we'll do is we'll get some glue laid down on here, and we'll try to do it again and get this laid down to where it looks really nice in that, okay? So, get it laid down there. Could go down just a smidge, I think. Could go down just a smidge. Just like that. How's that? That's not bad. We've got that little edge there, but we're gonna have to leave it because we've got our bee glued down there, and I don't think that looks too bad. So, pretty neat. So we've got all of this ephemera that we have to work with. So let's go ahead and add some ephemera to it. Yeah, I like this one. I'm gonna lay this one down on there, and I'm not gonna pop it up. I wanna get it flat because I've got my bee that's gonna spin around there. And I'm gonna tuck this down here like this. Looks super cute. And then we'll just add some other elements. We have this. I think we could add that to it. That's cute. Let's get it added. Lay that down on there. And then we've got that. And then, of course, they could put their message on the back of the card, or they could choose to write, you know, I don't know, however. But I think it's really pretty. So let's go ahead and flip it over, and we'll just create a space where they can leave their message. And I think that'll work out wonderfully. Just kind of non-traditional card for me, but we'll embellish it with some ephemera, and it'll be a nice spot that they can write their message. So I think we'll go with that. This particular card is for her beekeeper, who she gets her bee from. She has a relationship with, friendship with, and she said she, you know, she's good friends with, and she'd like to give them a card. So I'll just do this, and then she can write on the back of it, give them a card, and it'll be super fun. We have this just because sentiment here that I think we could lay down on here, and it would look lovely. So I feel like we could trim it down a little bit. It's a little bit thicker on one side than it is the other. There we go. And I'm not sure how even that is. Yeah, I think I can straighten that up a little bit. Okay. And then we'll just put it on there just because. And I think we could add some more of these bees. We've got some smaller ones. I feel like I have more room for some smaller ones here. Just bring in some smaller ones and put it on there. And then we could do a bigger one up here. Yeah, let's do that. I think it's fun. You've got all this ephemera, you might as well use it. Need to straighten that up a little bit. Oh man, it's not good. Trim it off. Let's trim that off a little bit. Just because. Let's bring in some of our add-ons, and we'll add some, because I've got that a little bit wonky. I'm going to fix that. I think we'll use the yellow, because I haven't used the yellow yet. So I'm just going to pull off one of the larger ones. Now we're going to bring it in and put it down on there. And then we'll just add some extra interest to our card. And using some more of our products that we have. So not very good. Okay, we'll get that laid down on there. There we go. And I think that looks kind of nice. It kind of helps to fix, you know, any flaws that I have with it. We've also got these, and these would be fun with it as well. So we'll bring in couple of these. And I think it's cute. I think it's a cute card. It's a 5x7. And if we spin this up really well and then close it, when our recipient gets it, opens it up, boom. Doesn't that look cute? I really like it. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye now.